Deep within the South American continent lies an endless mosaic of green and blue. This is the Pantanal. Covering an area the size of Great Britain, it holds the title of Earth's largest continental wetland. 2 million years ago, a massive tectonic shift caused the bedrock here to simply drop out. It formed a gigantic sinkhole hundreds of meters deep, leaving behind a near-perfect circular basin surrounded by high cliffs. Water from the northern and eastern highlands suddenly had nowhere else to go. Fast-moving rivers poured into the basin, carrying thousands of years of crushed rock and nutrients, slowly layering the sunken floor into a massive, flat plain. That geological fluke effectively trapped the local water cycle in a bowl. It built an isolated, incredibly dynamic aquatic environment that evolved completely undisturbed for millions of years. That constant influx of water birthed a dense web of life. Apex predators, like the jaguar, thrive here, stalking through the shallows of the muddy plains to ambush prey. But not all hunters here work alone. Giant otters, which can grow up to 2 meters long, rely on sheer numbers. They form tight-knit clans, constantly patrolling the rivers and aggressively defending their dens from anyone who gets too close. Surprisingly, the wildlife doesn't have this basin entirely to itself. For centuries, humans have lived and worked deep inside this wild environment, on traditional farms known as fazendas. Unlike modern industrial agriculture, these cattle drovers move to the rhythm of the Pantanal. When the annual floods arrive, they guide their herds up to higher ground. As the waters recede, they return to the valleys. There is no clear-cutting and no overgrazing. Wildlife and the ranchers both rely entirely on the natural flood cycle to survive. But a system so perfectly tuned to an abundance of water becomes incredibly fragile when that water disappears. Every year, the Pantanal goes through an 8-month dry season. Under the baking sun, vast lakes steadily evaporate, shrinking down to cracked mud. As the rivers recede, the available real estate vanishes. Predators and prey are forced into the exact same tight spaces, creating intense daily battles for the remaining food and water holes. This chart shows the severity of the drought in early 2020. Usually, the dry season ends when rains return, but that year, the rain didn't fall. You can see how the high water mark stayed a full 2 meters below the baseline needed to survive. Without that seasonal flooding, the top layer of earth baked bone dry. Stripped of its natural moisture barrier, the ground became a vast expanse of combustible tinder. Animals and plants that spent millions of years adapting to swim, float, and wade suddenly found themselves stranded in a desert. They had no biological defenses for what came next. It took almost nothing to ignite the brush. A dropped cigarette, an abandoned campfire, easily weaponized the dry conditions. But many of the fires were set on purpose. Illegal operators took advantage of the drought, deliberately burning ancient forests to quickly clear the land for industrial charcoal production and mechanized beef farming. The resulting inferno was impossible to contain. By November, over 3,000 separate fires were raging uncontrollably across the plains. The flames consumed nearly a third of the entire Pantanal territory. Millions of animals perished in the smoke and heat. A combination of deliberate human destruction and a broken climate cycle nearly wiped out a 2-million-year-old biological haven in a single season. After almost 12 months of punishing heat, the sky finally broke. The first severe storms rolled over the parched landscape, unleashing a heavy downpour that finally smothered the remaining flames. But a single storm cannot rebuild a wetland. For the soil to truly heal, the Pantanal requires a sustained, intense wet season, enough rain to force the rivers to burst their banks and submerge the plains under meters of water once again. In the areas where the water did return, life immediately resumed. Surviving species, like this giant anteater carrying its young on its back, picked right back up with their natural routines. The biology of the region is incredibly resilient. The flora and fauna can bounce back from heavy losses, provided the essential cycle of floods and droughts is allowed to complete itself uninterrupted. We also have proof that focused human effort can reverse massive damage here. In the 1970s, rampant animal trafficking and habitat loss pushed the hyacinth macaw population to the brink of extinction. Instead of watching them vanish, local communities and conservationists intervened. They deliberately planted acuri palms, which the macaws rely on for food, and monduvi trees, whose soft wood provides the perfect holes for their nests. After 50 years of highly targeted reforestation, the macaw population is steadily climbing back to safe numbers. The fate of Earth's largest wetland comes down to how we treat it. If we view the Petanal solely as land to be cleared and drained, it will burn. But if we actively protect it and follow the blueprint of sustainable coexistence, this incredible natural engine will continue to thrive.